Welcome in. It's time for the morning espresso here on the SDH network. All the soccer news you need to know about for Monday, December 23rd. I'm Jason Longshore. Let's start with the MLS coaching vacancy list. It's one shorter than it was on Friday. Atlanta United announced the appointment of Ronnie Dyla. Hopefully, you've checked out all of the content that we put out here on the SDH network that I put out with Mike Conti over at 92.9 The Game, the Off the Woodwork podcast series. Also, check out the interview that Ronnie did with Joe Freihofer of Atlanta United. That's on the club's YouTube page. But four teams left without a manager less than a month away from the start of preseason: Philadelphia, Vancouver, New York City, and Toronto. We'll see what those clubs do. Not a ton of chatter about who could be next in those four teams. We'll have to wait and see. Other news that maybe got lost in the shuffle a little bit late last week: Netflix, they acquired the exclusive media rights in the United States to the 2027 and the 2031 Women's World Cups. First competition that Netflix has acquired in full. Also, the first time that FIFA has sold the U.S. rights to the Women's World Cup separate from the Men's World Cup rights. Fox and Telemundo carried the last three Women's World Cups. ESPN had the rights before that. The 2027 tournament's going to be in Brazil. The 2031 tournament expected to be in the United States. So that means Netflix is going to get really good kickoff times for these events. And look, I know there's been a lot of conversation about this tournament being behind a paywall and how this is bad for exposure and all these different things. But we can't have the let's find something to complain about conversation about everything that gets announced, because before that the conversation was they're not selling the rights separately, we're not maximizing the value of the rights. Okay, they did that. Netflix, I would assume, paid the most money, so that's good for the competition. It's also a sign of just where the broadcast industry is now, with streaming becoming as big of a deal, especially from a business perspective, as over the air television or cable television. It's just the nature of where we are as a consumer of video content. So you can't ask for more things in terms of money and more bidders for a product and then get mad about who wins the bidding. Netflix is going to deliver a great product, I would assume. Otherwise, why pay for it? Be very curious to see if they can make sure they get the bandwidth issues that they struggled with a little bit during the Mike Tyson fight. So challenges for Netflix for sure, but they've invested in this because they think it's going to make them money. And I think it will too. And hopefully it'll be a big deal for the Women's World Cup that will be on Netflix over the next two tournaments. Big game yesterday, 6-3, at least big final in terms of 6-3, with Liverpool thumping Tottenham. Mo Salah has had a big start to the season. 15 goals, 11 assists in Premier League play. I mean, the record book is being rewritten by this guy. He's the first player to register a double-double in terms of goals and assists before Christmas. First player to register a double-double in 4 straight seasons. First player to register a double-double in 6 seasons. Questions about Spurs as well coming out of this. On Postecoglou, a lot of people starting to question his leadership of Tottenham. I think that's foolish. I think Tottenham is about where Tottenham probably should be based off what they have to work with. You run Ange Postecoglou out of there, I don't think you're going to get better, and that has really been the history of Spurs over the past 10 years or so. Hopefully they don't do that, and hopefully they let him continue to change the mentality, change the culture, and change the expectations of Tottenham. We'll see. Atleti, speaking of someone who has changed the expectations of a club, Diego Simeone. He's got Atletico Madrid in the lead in La Liga after their 2-1 win over Barcelona. They're leading, not by a lot. They're leading by a point over Real Madrid, 2 points over Barcelona. Barca dominated the game. Alexander Sorloth, stoppage time goal to win it for Atleti. This was after a DePaul beautiful goal to level it. Atleti scored in the 90th minute or later in 13 games across all competitions this season. Great squad depth. They spent a lot of money in the summer. Sorloth has only started 7 games in the league, but he's got 8 goals. So it's paying off. Simeone's been there for 13 and a half years, and I talked about changing expectations. He's pushing for his 3rd league title in that time frame. This might be one of his more impressive ones if he's able to get it done. Simeone has Atleti top of La Liga at this stage. Another team that has grabbed some headlines is Atlético Nacional in Colombia. Efrain Juarez, the Mexican manager who worked with Ronnie Dyla at New York City as an assistant during his spell there. Juarez has made history with Atlético Nacional. He's won the double in his first semester in charge of the club. They beat Tolima in the final of the league season. They won the cup last week over América de Cali. 18th league title in history for Atlético Nacional. They have the most league championships in history, 2 more than Millonarios, 3 more than América de Cali, and 8 more than Deportivo Cali and Junior. Efrain Juarez is starting to get a lot of attention in Mexico, and you're talking about somebody who might be the next Mexican national team manager, although there is a line there with Aguirre in charge now and Rafa Marquez set to take over after the next World Cup. Juarez might crash that line of succession or be in the mix for a lot of jobs, whether we're talking Major League Soccer, whether we're talking Liga MX. Efrain Juarez is going to be a fascinating manager to watch as he does the double with Atlético Nacional in his first 6 months there. Let's stay in Mexico for a moment. Cesar Garza going from Monterrey to Dundee FC on loan. Not 2 clubs you normally expect to see doing business together, but they have a special relationship. Rayados sending the 19-year-old and Garza to Dundee. It's going to join Antonio Portales, who has become a key player for Dundee FC. I love seeing this from Dundee FC. You're talking about a Scottish club bringing in young Mexican players through a partnership with a very strong team in Rayados. I love to see these sorts of things. Garza and Portales are going to be better off for this experience playing in Scotland, a very different kind of competition, different style of play. They're going to be better players for it. That's going to help either Monterrey or it's going to help them if they stay at Dundee. It's going to open up a different pipeline. I would love to see MLS clubs look to create these kinds of partnerships for their young players that are maybe too advanced for their MLS Next Pro side, but not quite ready to get first team minutes on a regular basis. Find a league that is a good fit, find a club that is a good fit where both sides can truly benefit from that relationship. And I want to end with this. It is 2 days before Christmas. One of my favorite traditions in the world of soccer, something that Real Betis does in Spain, their annual tradition of supporters throwing stuffed animals onto the pitch for disadvantaged kids. This started in 2018, and if you haven't seen the videos, it looks like it is raining stuffed animals onto the field when they do this. It's an amazing thing. Volunteers collect all of the toys, donate them to local children in need. This has become such a cool thing about the power of this game and the power of supporters. Soccer is something that brings the world together. Soccer is something that has a power that can be harnessed for good. And I love to see Real Betis doing this sort of thing in Spain. I'd love to see other clubs find a way to emulate aspects of this. That's it for the morning espresso. The show will be live this morning. 9:05 is the start time. John Nelson back in the host chair. Make sure you're watching on YouTube, on X, on Twitch, or on Facebook. And we'll have plenty of content throughout the week, even though our schedule won't be the same on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Stay tuned to make sure you're following Soccer Down here on all of your social media platforms.